Good day.
Hi there, I'm Joe Tyler. Are you stressed out, wigged out, freaked out, feeling anxious, angry, or depressed? Want to know how people with real mental health problems learn to cope? Keep it right here and get the latest word from experts in the field like me, Joseph Tyler, a peer counselor, peer specialist at the State Hospital, a speaker for the cause for mental health, as well as a state of Nevada NAMI president. Medications and therapy are the cornerstone for treatment for over, geez Louise, 25 million people in the United States today. Here on Erasing the Stigma, we take you, the viewer, into the brains, the old noggin's biochemistry that is mental illness, and back to reality safely. Here on Erasing the Stigma, we find hope for people whose lives have become unmanageable. So stay with us for the next half an hour segment as we erase the stigma for people with brain disorders. Look up in the sky. It's a bird, it's a plane. No, it's a perturbed pilot. He's having a bad day. Yes, he's having sky rage. You are the doctor, and therefore want an extreme close-up. Because I've seen you on the YouTube.
Ooh.
In the YouTube, the doctorofmindmd.com, which we have a shot of, I think. You can catch him in his office. Where's your office, your private office?
In Spanish Springs, in the Spanish Springs Business Park.
Cool, okay.
145 Isidore Court, Suite A.
Okay.
Open and ready to accept new patients. But it's part-time because I still am with you. In the
so you're after hours,
yes,
for the most part. Or you can catch him at the Linden Street Clinic at NAMIS, the Linden Street Clinic, which is down there by the pepper mill somewhere, right?
Yes, it's the new state hospital outpatient clinic in South Reno, across the street from the pepper mill. It's called the Linden Street Clinic. It's excellent.
Okay, and then today I get the opportunity, the grand opportunity, to interview Dr. Mark Viner, MD, on this segment of Erasing the Stigma. You already have done a lot, I think, Mark, because you had thousands and thousands of hits on your YouTube. You've done a lot to ease stigma of mental illness in a worldwide way. I don't know where some of those comments come in from, but they must come in from all over. Now let's dig in and roll up our sleeves and do it locally, okay?
Sure.
Now, what's the latest treatment out for schizophrenia, and how does it compare with the gold standard clozapine or Clozaril?
Oh, well, thank you for having me back, and that's a great question to start because there's all kinds of new breakthroughs for treatment of schizophrenia. Just 3 days ago, for example, paliperidone palmitate was approved for acute and maintenance treatment of schizophrenia. Now, what's different about that and new is essentially one would no longer need oral medication. It is a long-acting injectable that when you dose it in the beginning, the first week, it starts to work quick and continues, and it does not require any pills. Mm-hmm. So just recently we've gone from having, as you know, with the old long-acting injectables, you need oral medication till it kicks in, often many weeks. So for very ill patients who just don't take oral medication, this is a nice new alternative. It will allow someone like myself who treats schizophrenic patients a new option to treat someone and improve their ability to function and get them into recovery and prevent relapse. And that's quite fascinating. I'm looking forward to it. There's also a series of other long-acting injectables for schizophrenia that may come out. Iloperidone, olanzapine in the works. And this new one, which is Invega or paliperidone. Now, right for now, those are focusing on schizophrenia.
And Mark, I know someone who was on olanzapine injectable for quite a while, and it seemed to be more efficacious. It seemed like she wasn't having some of the weight gain associated with a lot of olanzapine patients. Well, it seemed to be because some way it was an injectable or some reason.
Yes. Well, I just think having excuse me, these long-acting injectable options are excellent. And as you know, Risperdal Consta, another long-acting injectable, was recently approved for bipolar disorder. So for the first time, we have a long-acting injectable which is approved for bipolar patients, not just schizophrenia. And as you know, there are new oral medications coming out like iloperidone, for example. So overall, I'm pleased to see the newer ones coming out. And the emphasis is more on the delivery system rather than, say, other things that monitor.
And you were at the forefront too. I remember you're at the forefront of prescribing different types of newer atypicals and stuff. But you were at the forefront of newer diagnostic procedures. Are we making progress in that arena as well?
Yes, as you know, Medicare now approves a PET scan for screening for Alzheimer's.
I didn't know that.
Thanks to Dr. Gary Small at UCLA, one of my colleagues. He showed that the pathology in the imaging appears before the clinical symptoms. So it would make sense when screening Alzheimer patients to include a neuroimaging study like that as part of the workup. Now, there are scans of all the mental disorders now. OCD, increased activity in the prefrontal lobe.
We know we've seen scans of this.
Yes.
But are we using them in a diagnostic fashion? We aren't yet.
Well, they're still mainly used in tertiary or big teaching facilities, research hospitals like Stanford and USC, but they are becoming more popular, and a lot of times I'll show a patient a PET scan of a bipolar patient, and it helps explain to him the illness. So right there at my desk, I'll pull up a picture of the brain and schizophrenia and show this to the patient. So
and we know in some cases that there are enlarged ventricles. That is the spaces in where the cerebral spinal fluid flows into there. There are enlarged spaces where. In some cases, but not in all cases. And that's
yes, the neuropathology of schizophrenia is becoming more known now. It is not a neurodegenerative disorder like Alzheimer's. What we see in schizophrenia in the brain under the microscope is loss of white matter integrity and neuropil loss, which is gray matter loss. However, technically, it is not neurodegeneration, which is glial fibrosis. So schizophrenia is still potentially modifiable, and we should develop medicines to modify.
I know myself.
The disease.
I'm as productive as I've ever been, it's pretty common. I tell patients I was very sick for many, many years, and that was on the old medications, and now the new stuff. Even my cognition, my concentration, I'm not as ADHD, I'm kind of locked on still, but
I'm glad you mentioned that, because not only do the medicines help the voices, paranoia, and hallucinations, like drugs such as paliperidone, risperidone, ziprasidone, but still, I want better treatment for my patients, not just relief of voices. I want them to be out there working, having relationships, a good quality of life. And what we're finding now is there perhaps might be some cognitive symptoms that remain that don't allow patients to completely recover. So we're taking molecules for, believe it or not, Alzheimer's, ADD type of disorders where there's poor attention and concentration. So you see medicines like Aricept, where it enhances your memory, attention, and concentration. So you attach one of those molecules to the paliperidone molecule, and that is going to be the future treatment of schizophrenia. Not only getting rid of the voices, paranoia, and hallucinations, but using cognitive enhancers or pro-cognitive add-on molecules attached to the paliperidone to improve the remaining symptoms.
The cognition?
Yes.
So that we're going to make us superhuman here in a little bit.
Well,